but we'll do our best, right? Okay, hopefully this will, at least the microphone should be better. So while you guys are coming in, I am going to turn off my phone alarms. So we will be good to go. Do not disturb. And of course, I had a little trouble getting online. So of course that's going to happen. Oh, you know what? Let me pull you guys up on my phone just in case as a backup, in case I can't see comments. But when you come on, say hi. Let me know who's here. Yeah, as soon as I pulled you guys up on my laptop, I'm like, I should probably pull up my phone too. So, and then we will get going. So if you are joining us for this today, okay, go to the live. Karen Wise, you look like you were first on here this morning. Good morning. And then let me set this right down here so I can see you guys when you come up. All right. Yes, blessed Ostara. Happy spring equinox. So I don't know how many people we're going to have because this is an off time. So if you were catching this on the replay, again, apologies for everything. The light's just not the best in my apartment. But we will post a replay on the YouTube page because I will actually get this workshop ripped down before the 30 days is up. That's my plan. And we'll post it over there in case anybody wants to rewatch it later. Like you could also rewatch this workshop on a new moon, anything like that. So let's see. Oh, that's funny. My pinned post posted twice. That's interesting. No worries. But please say hi. I like to know who's here. If you would, you could you please? Hey, Lois. Good morning. So while I am getting set up, this is just for anybody that wants to do this along with us. Good morning, Jamie. You may want to grab at least some paper. If you have a candle that you like to light, you can grab that candle. It's not necessary. If you have a bay leaf, I would encourage a bay leaf. So I'm just going to smudge everything before we get started. How are you guys doing this morning? I have a feeling it's going to be a small crowd because it's not our regular time, you know. That's okay though. I feel like I am definitely like representing pathways today because for my paper, I got out my moth journal, and for my cup, I got out my moth cup. So I'm feeling very mothy. Okay. Good morning, Lindy. Yeah, I'm glad I pulled my phone up because my laptop is not showing comments. That's okay. That's why we have a backup. False fails, have a plan B and C, right? Okay, so guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. So some of you may have, okay, first off, just really quick, can you guys hear me okay? I've got my little microphone out and I've never plugged it into my laptop. So if you could give me a yes in the comments, that'd be super helpful before we move forward. I'll give you guys a minute to respond. And while you're doing that, I'm going to get my first candle set up. I see a thumbs up, but I don't know if that's in response to my question. Can somebody type? Thank you, Jamie. Perfect. Sweet. Hi, Joyce G. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Lois. Right on. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. I've used it with my phone, but I've not used it with my laptop. But apparently it like hooked up into all the right places it was supposed to, so I guess we're all right. Okay. So some of you guys probably caught a similar version of this workshop that I taught on New Year's Day. I wanted to do one today on spring equinox because a lot of metaphysically inclined people see this as New Year's for them. You know, we have the sun moving into Aries. It's the beginning of the zodiacal year. So I wanted to do it again. I also think that I should say, I'm of the opinion, and this is just Mel's opinion, that if you feel the need to like begin something new or start something new, or if you need a reset in your life, I feel personally that you should be able to do that whenever you feel called to. So, like if you think of the charge of the goddess, she says, "Whenever you have need of me, whether the moon be full or not." So, whenever you have need of me. So whenever you have need to do any sort of like reset like this, or a setting of intentions or a rededication to a goal, you can definitely do that. So I am going to light a candle just to get us started. I did choose a black candle because for the beginning part, I want to like clear stuff out, you know. Some people, especially people that are new to metaphysics, are like, oh, black candles are scary. And it's like, no, black candles help get rid of negativity and they help clear your space. So I'm going to set this safely. You guys know me, big on the safety aspect. Right over there, where I can keep an eye on it, just to get our space nice and clean to start with. I did go ahead and smudge the candles, so we have everything ready to go for that. I have my little, we talked about it before, my little mise en place for my supplies. And I also have a deck, so we're also going to draw some cards. And then you guys will have regular Facebook Live with Karen like you usually do at 11. So let me pull up my notes and we will get rolling. So grab your paper, grab a pen, because I am going to ask you some questions. And I would really encourage you to be open to what the universe brings to you today. So, take a moment to connect up with your guides and teachers, those beings of light, your ancestors, whoever it is you talk to, because you will undoubtedly get those little aha moments that kind of come down into your brain as we do this work together. So our first class that we did that was similar to this, this is a radically shorter class, but our first class was a little over 2 hours. So I intentionally made this one shorter for you guys. So it's something you can kind of get to as you need to get to it. So I see a few more people jumping on. Good morning, friends. So let's go ahead and get going. So first off, I want to say thank you for showing up today. Thank you for being present in this moment on this special day, Spring Equinox. Happy Ostara, blessed Ostara, friends. It's a time for us to restart spring and to start all those things of new growth. And if you think about it, like March 20th, in this case, it's the 20th, sometimes it's the 21st. March 20th is a pretty interesting date. It's an astrologically made date as opposed to a calendar date. So because we're tuning into spring equinox, and it's not just, January 1 on the calendar. So a lot of folks, as I mentioned, see this as a beginning of the new astrological year for us, a new beginning of setting intentions. Also, if you started something on January 1st and you feel like maybe you've like fallen off of your wagon, so to speak, this is a great time just to kind of reaffirm that. But also, something I think that's really important that a lot of people don't talk about is when people set intentions, they think that they are like ironclad bound to those intentions. But maybe the intentions you made at January 1st weren't the right ones, or maybe you tried them out and they weren't a great fit, and that's fine too. So if it's not serving you, I'm going to encourage you to let it go. So just kind of keep that in the back of your brain. So this is about how we believe that spring equinox can be a new beginning, a new time to set intentions. And one thing to remember is that beliefs move our energy. We talk a lot about how emotions fuel our magic. Beliefs are like an emotion, and those fuel our magic as well. So today, this isn't about making resolutions. It's not about shaming yourself for like what didn't happen last year or what you started at the beginning of the year that hasn't worked out. That is not what this is about. This is about us taking a moment to consciously stand at a threshold of a new magical year, which I think is pretty freaking amazing. So I want you just to take a breath with me, take a big breath, Exhale and feel that you are here today on purpose. You're here today to be fully present, like in your own life, and to stake your claim on what you want for this upcoming year. So much like we did in the first class on January 1st, I would like it to take a moment for us to honor what came before, like what came before last year. So before we step forward, and we talked about this in the January 1 class, it's like a Janus, the god with the face that looks backward at the old year and forward at the new year. So we're taking a moment, we're turning around, we're looking back, because we don't want to like rush into this new year dragging the old stuff behind us. You know, we also just came fresh out of a Mercury retrograde. So whatever kind of like weirdness was around that, whatever kind of complications we had around that, we just want to let it go, right? So we're going to take a minute and unpack that, and then we're going to move forward. So if you have a journal or paper or scrap paper, I'd encourage you to grab a pen. You know, a pen is the only thing I didn't grab, but that's okay. I have a whole pile of midliners, so we're good. So I'd encourage you to take out a piece of paper here for a moment, or a journal, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions and just write down like a couple key words about whatever question like really resonates with you, because you might want to like think about it for a moment and you might want to come back to it later. Again, I am going to rip this video off of Facebook. I am going to post it on our YouTube page, not today, but I am going to post it on our YouTube page. So if you don't want to, if you just kind of want to sit today and kind of see what stands out to you, that's fine. And then you can always go back to the YouTube video later and kind of spend more time on some of these questions. So, okay, let me pull up my questions. And again, don't get all up in your head. You don't have to do any of this perfectly. Good morning, Sharon Leach. I think I got everybody. So if I don't say good morning to you guys, I'm trying to like stay on time. So bear with me, but I'm saying hi to all of you. So the next part we're going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions, make some notes if you're inclined about what speaks to you, or you might just want to like mentally answer these questions, because there's always like gold in those. There's always things that we can come back to. So much like Janus, the two-faced god, we're going to first look back just for a few minutes. But some of the questions I have for you are, let me pull up my document. What defined your year last year? So like if you think of what were big things, what defined your year? Like if you had breakthroughs and things like that. Another question you can think about is what changed me? Things always do. What changed you? Oh my gosh, I hope my microphone doesn't pick up my stomach. Sorry. So what defined your year and what changed you? Some other things you might want to think about are, where did I grow? Like I personally felt like I grew a lot last year. You know, and if I sit and think with that, I'm sure I can think of a few times when specific things stood out for me. So you also might want to think about, where was I stretched over the year? So like what happened to me that made me kind of stretch beyond my comfort zone, that made me kind of like step out there a little bit more than I would have normally done. Another one is, what exhausted me? That was like an easy answer for me. I totally knew that. What exhausted me? And then another question, what strengthened me? And you'll notice as we go through these questions, stuff will immediately pop to your head. So that's usually like a sign that there's something there for you. So like what exhausted me and what strengthened me? And I love this question. What surprised me? I feel like my surprises came more in 2026. I had a few surprises this year. I've had some surprises really, really lately. But what surprised you? And like I love this last question. And again, this is for this past year. What am I complete with? What am I complete with? Like, what are you so done with? So done, so finished, like out with yesterday's garbage. And it doesn't have to be something bad. It could be like, what did I accomplish and complete? What did I create? What did I learn? So there's a lot of good questions in there. And if some of those like stand out or like the answers come to you right away, I would encourage you to dive a little deeper into those. Another thing you can do is you can always do, I'm a big fan of like the writing a short letter to yourself for like multiple things. So in this case, you could write a short letter to yourself about the past year and like, this is what I almost said survived. So I have to be careful about that verbiage, but what did I experience? What did I grow from? And like, toot your own horn, make sure that you touch on the things that you did well and the things you accomplished and the things that you very proudly let go of. And sometimes letting go of things doesn't have to be a big ordeal. It can be just like laying it down, like, I am done with this now, and turning around and walking away. So it doesn't have to be like the little Dilbert meme where he's like, I'm fine, everything's fine, and there's flames in the background. It doesn't have to be like that. So lots of questions for you guys to think about there. And sometimes here's a couple words just to get you started, like on that letter. You can always begin it with thank you for, and then what you're thankful for. And then you can always end it with I release what you're releasing. So there's a few ways that you can go about doing that letter if you choose to do that. And again, guys, you don't have to worry about making a ton of notes. This will be showing up on YouTube later. One thing that I had come up with this phrase that I really liked. And so like, if you take a moment and you think about your past year, the phrase that I came up with was, we honor the year because even a hard year sculpts us like clay, we honor the year because even a hard year sculpts us, and nothing is wasted if it becomes wisdom. I loved that. Obviously that didn't come from me. Nothing is wasted if it becomes wisdom. So that's our look at that past year. So we're going to go ahead and move into part 2 of our class. Again, this is going to be a smaller class that you guys can come back and like have a deeper experience with on your own. So you can work with very simple tools whenever you do this work. Like for those of you that are in Spell Woven Path, you can do rituals with like not a lot of extra things. So like I have our black candle going as we are clearing things out and releasing. I have a bay leaf. Look at this Mondo, dude. This is a Mexican bay leaf. It's giant. It's like as big as my face. So that's the one I'm going to use today. I've also got a Sharpie because I'm going to write on my bay leaf. This is something that we did do in the first class. So again, we're working with simple tools, things that are very accessible. You don't have a bay leaf, grab a piece of paper, grab a Post-it note. You can literally grab a napkin. You probably need a marker for that, but like don't get all up in your head about the tools. You are the most important tool of any work that you do. You are the vehicle for the magic. Everything else is a correspondence that just helps layer the energy. So let me scroll up on my notes just so I don't get lost. One thing that I had heard, and I can't remember where I heard this, otherwise I would give credit, but they said, think of your tools, your candles, your incense, your oils, your bay leaves. Don't think of them so much also as tools. Think of them as allies in the work that you do. Just like your guides and teachers are your allies in your work, your tools are also your allies, right? So we're going to grab your paper or your bay leaf, marker, napkin, paper towel, whatever it is. The intention is the most important part of any work that you do. So you're going to take it and write down, and you might, if you're not ready to do this just yet, you might want to just kind of brainstorm some words. Write down one thing that you're ready to release. Here's the thing. Don't make it something you should release. Like, I should give up fast food, or I should, whatever. But make it something that you're truly ready to lay down, something that you know will help you moving forward, but don't make it something obligatory. Magic should not be about obligation. It should not be about guilt. It should not be about shame. So take a moment and write down something that you're willing to release. I'm going to do it myself. Pardon me. I'm a little dry this morning, guys, so please just bear with me. You know, and it's funny, because I was looking at my notes before we jumped on here, and I'm like, oh, I know what it is. I put my pen in my bay leaf, and it's a totally different thing. And you just got to roll with it, right? So again, write down one thing you're ready to release, not something you should, not something you're obligated to, not something that maybe you said you'd do last year and you didn't, so you feel like you ought to do it this year. Write down something you're really, truly ready to lay down. Okay. And then we have a little invocation. Okay. So even if you're just thinking of what it is, that's totally fine. But I have a little invocation that I want to read to you. And I would encourage you to repeat after me if you're so inclined. You know, you do you. But I would encourage you because, you know, when magic starts up here in the ethers, it starts in our finer bodies, the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual bodies. When we speak words out loud, that is like that first manifestation, you know, along with like the writing on the bay leaf. But let's say you don't have a bay leaf to write something down. When we speak those words out loud, that's that very first bit of manifestation that is leaving the ethers and it's coming out into the physical world. So that's why it's so important. That's also why people say you shouldn't is a hard word, but for lack of Mel finding another one, they say you shouldn't think mantras, you should speak them, because the words themselves hold a vibration and they hold a power. Words have power. Otherwise, we wouldn't speak words in ritual, right? Okay. So if you have your bay leaf or your paper or just your word in your brain, feel free to repeat this out loud with me. Okay. The year has shaped me, but it does not define me. What is finished, I release. What remains, I carry in wisdom. I set down what is heavy, and I keep what is sacred. Okay, I'm going to read it all together one more time. The year has shaped me, but it does not define me. What is finished, I release. What remains, I carry in wisdom. I set down what is heavy, I keep what is sacred. Right? So if you have the ability to do this, you can do this with me. If you don't, you can do this later. Grab your paper or your bay leaf, and it can be as easy as this. I release you. Big roaring flames. Hopefully it doesn't set off my fire alarm. Burns out pretty quick. Ta-da. I really hope it doesn't set off my fire alarm. We'll find out. I'm going to put a little bit of water on this just to be safe. There we go. Safety first, guys. Always safety first. Okay, I think we're good. That's what happens when you get a really bigger bay leaf. Oh yeah, it's a little smoky. We'll see. We'll see. But you know, amazing things happen when you do ritual, either in person or virtually. So, all right. So as we burn that, like, and as we say those words, like, did you notice in your body how that felt? And like in your breath, like, did you feel something shift? And if you could let me know in the comments with either a thumbs up or a yes, like, let me know, did you feel something shift? I know that I did. The words that got me were, what remains I carry in wisdom. Yeah, I liked that quite a bit. Okay. So we're going to keep moving along. So I'm going to do a little bit of a shift. I'm going to let my black candle burn down, but I also have, you can use like a white, you can honestly use any color you want. You can use a white candle. I'm going to use a yellow candle because the yellow candle really reminds me of spring equinox. You know, it's that sunny color of spring. So I want to light this as we move in here really quickly. And you know what? I forgot to bring our cards over and pull our card. So let me pull out. I did grab my own deck this morning. I hope you guys don't think that's too cheesy. This is the Seasons of Sabbath's Oracle deck. This is a deck that LK and I made together and had published, available at Pathways, of course. I've just been using it more. It's been calling to me, and it's like, I feel weird using my own deck on our Facebook Lives, but today it just was not going to take no for an answer. So if you have a deck, feel free to draw a card for yourself. You can. But I was inspired to draw a card for like what we're letting go of, what is past. And then as we move into this middle part, like what we want to bring in, and then a final card for when we're finished. So as far as for what we're releasing, oh my gosh, so appropriate, you guys. I don't know why I act so surprised. The cards always know exactly what we need. But for our releasing, I got the card of Lammas or Lunasa, and it's all about, it's card number 15, and it's about wheat. And for any of you guys that know, the when we get to Lunasa, it's that harvest. It's the first harvest. So it's like about sacrifice, and it's about cutting things down. You know, we have John Barleycorn that goes through his sacrifice for everything. So this card goes very well with our questions that we first asked ourselves in the very beginning. Like, what are we willing to lay down? What did we learn? What did we bring in as far as what did we harvest? What are we willing to release? What are we willing to let go of? What are we willing to sacrifice? So I think this was the perfect card for our releasing part of our ritual. Lois says, I have the same bay leaves as you, and I had to keep lighting it. Yeah, I love those though. I do. So I feel like that was a really appropriate card there. So we are going to get into the second part of this, and I'm going to draw this card after we do this next little, it's not really a visualization. It's kind of more like a close your eyes and think about it. But this is the idea around this next part of our class is about becoming instead of resolving. You know how people make resolutions? So this is not about resolutions. This is about becoming, about growing, about stepping into those things that we want to bring into our lives. You know, and a lot of people will skip that part, but, you know, they just jump straight into the goals part. But I heard this, I read a lot of self-improvement books. I read a lot of business books. And one phrase that I pulled out was behavior follows identity. Behavior follows identity. So if you decide who you're becoming, the actions begin to align. So I believe we touched on this a little bit in our January workshop. So you could say something like, instead of I want to be a person who exercises, you can say, I am a person who exercises, or I'm an exerciser. I'm sure there's a better word for that, you know. And like for those of you that are maybe very creative, and let's say that you used to like draw or paint or whatever, and maybe you haven't done it in a while and you want to revisit that, you don't have to say, I'm getting back into my creativity. You can say, I am an artist. I am a creator. I am a maker. But it's all, and we had talked about this on the Facebook Live a few days ago, that internal verbiage that we use with ourselves is like so important. So in the past, we've talked about, like, if you have trouble like getting to that statement, you can say, I'm in the process of. But it feels like it lands a lot more solid and lands a lot more firmly home, if you will, if you say, I am, you know, just like the great I am discourses, the I am presence. So again, behavior follows identity. And if you decide who you're becoming, then the actions will begin to align. But like you're making a conscious decision. So you're making a conscious decision. Okay, good deal. So if you're inclined, you can close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes. This is just a very short, just a few sentences for you to think about. But I would like you guys to close your eyes and imagine that this is February 28th of 2027. Okay, so next year, next February, February 28th, 2027. And you are looking back at the year because you're getting ready to start a new year for spring equinox. Or March 19th, end of one year, beginning of another one. But you're looking back at the year because you're getting ready to jump into 2027 at spring equinox. And if you look back at your 2026, what version of you are you seeing? So if you think of that past year, how did you carry yourself? And what do you no longer tolerate in your world? Like, what are your boundaries? What did you protect? What did you prioritize? Here's a good one. What does peace look like in your life? What does peace look like in your life? So I'm going to read those questions one more time. Imagine it's 2027, we're at spring equinox again, and you're looking back at 2026. Like, what version of you do you see in your mind's eye? How did you carry yourself last year? What do you no longer tolerate in your space? What are you protecting? What are you prioritizing? And what does peace look like in your life? And then when you're ready, just open your eyes. It's nice that we looked back when we started all this at 2025. And now we've kind of thought about like some of the things we might want to bring into our life starting here at spring equinox. And then to like shoot yourself forward into the future and look back at 2026. And it kind of helps your brain plan for like when I ask the question, what do you no longer tolerate? So maybe you tolerated something in 2025 that you're like, I am not tolerating this in 2026. And we fast forward to March of 2027, and you're looking back and you're like, I did not tolerate that. Didn't do it. Didn't tolerate it. How did I carry myself? Maybe I carried myself with a little more confidence, a little more not so sheepish, I love the last one. What does peace look like in your life? With everything going on in the world, I think all of us are searching for like a bit more peace to come into our lives, right? And we have to consciously create that. So with all those intentions in your mind, it just kind of helps layer the energy for how we're going into this 2026 spring equinox year. So I am going to draw another card for us though, for this middle part, for like our intentions moving forward. Okay. Oh, it doesn't get any better than this. Oh my gosh. All right. So, oopsie. Sorry, I was moving my windows around. Let me make sure we're still live, make sure I didn't screw this up. Okay, we're good. So for our card for moving into 2026 is the card of spring. You guys saw me shuffle. There's no way I could have stacked this deck. It's the card of spring. How appropriate. I loved this. I was so in love with this little picture of this crocus. When we were first doing these cards, I wanted this crocus to be in the set of cards for Ostara. And then I'm like, we changed what it was going to be. And then I'm like, I can put that in the seasons card. I just thought it was so adorable. And for any of you that have been with us when we moved into our quote unquote new location that we've been there for like 25 years this year, Deborah planted, well, I say Deborah did, she had people do it, planted over 200 bulbs in the grass out by the yard, out by the road. A lot of them have obviously died off since then, but they were these purple, yellow, and white crocus, and I just loved them. I would come into work some days and there'd be like one or two popping up and I'd get out with my phone and take a picture of it. But what a great card for us on this day of all days. Oh my gosh, I love it. The universe is amazing. And this reminds us too that, the growth happens even when we think everything is quiet and dormant and underneath the snow. And when we think things are lying fallow or lying cold and under a blanket of snow in winter, there's still life there. There's still growth that is potential. There's the potential that it's getting ready to burst up out of that snow and all of that coldness. So I think this is the perfect card for us for this part of our class that we're doing. So our workshop. I didn't know what to call it. It's fine. It's just a word. So one thing you may want to do is you may want to think about some of the things you've written down, either now or you can revisit this again later. But think about some of the things that you wrote down. Notice if there's any word that stands out to you, and choose one word. And you don't have to be stuck with this word, but like use it as a starting point. Use it as like a springboard. Do not choose a goal. Do not choose a sentence. Choose one word, not even a phrase, one word. I think I told you guys this in the January class, but like my word for a couple of years was the word willing. And it's like, can I just be willing to try something, willing to do something, and like willing got me through a lot, but feel free, but pick one word, not a sentence, not a goal, not an intention, not a phrase, one word. So I'm going to give you some suggestions. I just pulled a handful out in case you're stuck. And it doesn't have to be a word you wrote down, but maybe it's a feeling that's around the words that you wrote down. So like you may have written down something that would deal with, let's say, devotion, maybe a devotion to yourself or a devotion to your path or a devotion to your art or a devotion to your family or your career. You may have chosen the word strength. How can I bring more strength into my life? How can I be more strong? How can I be strong for myself, my family, my friends? Another word you might want, I love this one, simplicity or simple, because life can get super complicated. It can get super hard. Maybe your word might be expansion. Like maybe you're tired of playing small and you're like, I'm ready to step out there. I'm ready to expand. One of my favorite words is sovereignty, to be sovereign, to be in charge of your own life. I love that word. It's like a $3 word, sovereign. I love it. It might be trust. It might be peace. It might be pause. It might be breathe. It might be willing. It could be any of those words. But I'd encourage you to pick that because what it does is that one word acts as a touchstone that one word will remind you of like all these things we've talked about today. And that one word will help you lend that intention to what you want to do going forward. So again, it's just one word. If you have your word, I would love to see it in the comments. There's no pressure, but I would love to see it. I'm still landing on my word. I've narrowed it down to like 4. But remember, you don't have to be chained to your word for the year because sometimes those words change and evolve. I was in a women's group once, and this her name was Julie, and Julie had taken one word, and that word had kind of evolved over time. So like one time she used it, it was a verb. One time she used it, it was a noun. One time she used it, it was a present tense verb, and then the other time she used it, it was a past tense verb, like be, being, been. So you get the idea? So it was still that one word. It still had that flavor. It still had that taste, but the word evolved just as her path evolved. Now I was like, that is brilliant. She's so smart. I almost said the F word. She's so effing smart. But I'm like, man, she was just like really in touch with that. So if you thought of your word, I would love to see it, but don't feel pressured. You don't have to. Small group this morning. If you're catching this on replay, hashtag replay. But you may want to like write that word down somewhere where you can see it. I had put mine in 2 spots. I put mine on my door, like where my my little chain goes right above my deadbolt. I put it right there. So I see it every day when I came home and closed the door, I see it. Every day when I like would leave for work, I'd see it. And I put one on my bathroom window. Oh, this is funny. I think my laptop is actually more online with you than my phone is. It is. Lois says her word is focus. Anybody else have a word they want to share? Because also remember that when you share, now granted, not everything is meant to be shared, but like with our group, especially when you share in this group, you have all these other people that are lending energy to what you're doing, you know? So good thing to think about there. Okay, so we're going to keep moving along. I'm trying to keep us on track here. So we have looked backward, we have thought, and we have kind of, I don't know that I would say we've set some intentions, but we've definitely gone a bit deeper than saying, I will do this thing this year, you know, and we've thought about what do we want to become, like when we talked about the I am. So now this is more, this last section is more about claiming the intention that we want for ourselves, claiming the energetic that we want for ourselves, and claiming the life that we want for ourselves. So I would encourage you to hold your word if you wrote it down in your hand, or you can hold it in your mind or hold it in your heart. And I want you to think about your word. And I would love for you to repeat this after me, if you would, please. So again, because words are that first aspect of creation that comes out into physical form. I stand at the threshold. I am not who I was. I am not yet who I will be. I choose my becoming. I step forward in clarity, courage, and intention. And this year meets me as I am becoming. I'm going to read it through one time for you. I stand at the threshold. I am not who I was. I am not yet who I will be. I choose my becoming. I step forward in clarity, in courage, and intention. And this year meets me as I am becoming. I love that. Love it. I love that last sentence. This year meets me as I am becoming. So we talk a lot about how we work hand in hand with spirit, divinity, ancestors, guardians, totems, angels, teachers, whatever label you slap on your beings of light. But isn't it nice to know that you are here and the year, it's like the year rises to meet you for what you're becoming and moving forward with. And like, I just thought that was powerful. Obviously, not mine. But this year meets me as I am becoming. And I don't know about you guys, but doesn't it feel good to know that like you're not just stepping out there all on your own? Isn't it nice to have that feeling of security that your guides and your teachers and the year itself is rising to meet you as to what you are becoming? I just thought that was so profound. You know, you guys know me, I'm a big word person. So it's like sometimes those phrases will like, they resonate with you, you know? And just like when we do magic and when we do ritual and when we say and sing our banishings, you know, those words resonate on such a deep level. So this year meets me as I am becoming. Powerful stuff, guys. Powerful stuff. So I want to draw another card before we move in just to this short last part. So this last card is the energy as we move forward. So we had our card at the beginning for what we released. We had our card in the middle while we were working on considering what we wanted and like testing out the flavor of that. And this last one is for the energy of how we're moving forward into this year. Interesting. This is an interesting card for us. It's a waning moon. So as we started out this today, we talked about we are on a threshold. So I have to admit, I did not look and see what time the spring equinox happened. I don't know if it's already happened or it's happening later, but we're still in that liminal space. We're on that edge of like that last year and this new year starting. And even if you move right past that time when the equinox hits, there's still the energetic around it of that energetic bubble. Like we talk about Mercury retrogrades, the bubble before it, Mercury retrograde, the bubble after it, just like that. So we just had a new moon. So we're on, the card is the waning moon, but it just reminds us that we're at a liminal space of looking backward and looking forward, right there on the edge. And it's so important. Like, here's what my guides just popped into my head, not planned. My guides are saying, do you want to fall back into what you had, or do you want to fly forward into your future? Thanks. That was really good. Do you want to fall back into what you were, or do you want to fly forward into your future? It's a threshold moment, guys. We are moving between seasons. We're moving between zodiac signs. It's such a precipice, and it's like you can step backward out of fear, or you can step forward in confidence and faith. So, waning moon, very, very liminal space. I just want to keep doing this, like you're walking a little tightrope there. So I would encourage you, be the fool, like in the tarot, take the leap, move forward. You can always course correct. I think a lot of times, and we've talked about this a lot back in the planner group, in that, we have this thought that we can't do it until I move forward until everything is perfect. And that's not the way it is. It's okay to make messy forward steps, progress, not perfection, perfectly imperfect. That's one of my favorites, perfectly imperfect. Good morning, Rachel. So as we start to close out this workshop, I want to give you a few things to think about. I would encourage you, even if it's just to like try something on. It doesn't have to be hardcore. It doesn't have to be written in stone. Even if you just want to taste something and just try it on just a little bit. So I'd encourage you, take one action towards like what you're thinking of working on for this year within 7 days that aligns with your word. Take one action in 7 days that aligns with your word. And like that will help give you the momentum. And it may give you the momentum to say that I need to course correct already. And that's fine. One of my favorite phrases is who says. When somebody says, I read 4 books this year. Oh, really? Would you read? Oh, I listened to them on Audible. And they're like, that doesn't count. And my response is, says who? Nobody gets to judge you. Nobody gets to judge how you do anything. So take one action within 7 days that aligns with the word that you chose. So if it was willing, maybe you're willing to go have lunch by yourself out at a restaurant, and maybe you don't normally do that. Maybe you're willing to go on a walk and you don't normally do that. Whatever it is, take one action within 7 days that aligns with your word. So like I have some examples. If your word is health, schedule your doctor's appointment, or buy your vitamins, or, set your, buy a vitamin box, refill your vitamin box. If your word is peace, decline something that feels like it would drain you. Let it, just let that go. And like if your word is, say, expansion or like growth, like sign up for the thing that you want to grow on, or sign up for, it doesn't even have to be signing up, but like take a step that moves you forward into that expansion. Let's say you want to learn how to play guitar, check out a book from the library, watch a YouTube video on how to play guitar, whatever it is. So magic requires forward motion and it requires movement. So it's like we're just trying to give it a little bit of a kickstart here. And again, keep your words somewhere where it's visible, somewhere where you can see it. You'll see, like I said, I have mine in 2 spots. You may want to put yours in more than that. I'm a big fan for taking a Sharpie and writing on my bathroom mirror, or a dry erase marker. Either one will work. So I see it every time I go in there to go to the bathroom and wash my hands or brush my hair or brush my teeth. I see it repetitively. You might put it on your refrigerator, I actually used to have Post-its inside my refrigerator as well. But keep it visible. Make sure that, and as you see it more and more, it will guide what you do. Like when I use the word willing, it really helped move me forward and guide what I wanted to work on. So remember that moving forward, this year is not about pressure, because Goddess knows that we all put enough pressure on ourselves. We all think that there are expectations of us. So may this year not be about pressure. Let this year be about alignment. Let it be about walking steadily and confidently towards what you want. And remember who you are becoming. Remember who you are becoming, right? So important. Because trust me, the other people around you aren't going to do it. And it's not their job, you know, but remember who you are becoming, right? So yes, let's see. Let me check the chat real quick because I was very focused trying to stay on track. Lois says Pisces energy to Aries is very jarring. Yeah, Pisces is very metaphysical. It's very psychic. It's very up in your head, and Aries is very in your body. So yeah, it can be very jarring. But again, it's that precipice. It's a precipice of energy. It's a liminal space. So just like when we talked about our waning moon, it's like you're like right on that edge, just like that. So there we go. So guys, I think I did it. I did it in 50 minutes. I wasn't sure. I was like, I got to teach a shorter version of this class because the last one was so long. So anyway, I hope you guys liked it. Again, I always apologize for the light in here. It's very fickle. But anybody have comments they want to leave in there? Anybody have questions? And I will repeat this again. I will rip this video in a timely manner and move it over to YouTube so we don't lose it. I think I'm going to try and lighten it before I move it over there. But I hope you guys liked it. I kind of based it off the one we did in January, but I kind of tried to freshen it up a little bit because I know some of you guys were at the previous one. So let's see. And I also wanted to make sure that I got off in time for Karen to do the live at 11. So if you are new to us and you're wondering, what are we doing here? This is a special workshop we're doing for Spring Equinox, just a free give back that we give to the community. But we are Pathways New Age Books and Gifts, and we go live every day at 11 a.m. on Facebook, right on this channel. And today you'll get Karen at 11. So let me check my chat really quick. I feel like the chat is very draggy today. Very slow. But at least this will give you time to jump off, get a potty break, maybe put some food in your head before Karen jumps back on. I want to see what's on the bottom of the deck because I'm curious now. I was getting ready to put it away and I'm like, So as you guys know, whenever we pull off the bottom of the deck, that's for things going on behind the scenes that maybe we're not aware of, but would be beneficial if we were. Oh, this is why. It's an Ostara card. And it's Dalmatian Jasper. Holy cow, Batman. So, okay, if you guys are still here, I got to share this. So Dalmatian Jasper is also a very good stone for getting rid of habits that no longer serve you. Smoking, drinking, staying up too late, not getting enough sleep. It's also a stone of joy. Man, I was just really trying to put this deck down and it's like, no, we need one more card. I'm like, all right, I can't believe that. That's crazy. Dalmatian Jasper. That's our card. So behind the scenes, guys, know that behind the scenes that there is growth and there is joy. Moving into this new astrological year, spring equinox to spring equinox. That's amazing. Holy cow. Lois just pulled another card too. What did you pull, Lois? I'm curious. What card did you get? And if you are interested in small, easy rituals like this to do that can still be very profoundly meaningful, we highly encourage you to join us on the Spell Woven Path. There is a link on here. It's the pinned link underneath the video. And it's 30 days of magic every month. You can buy it month to month, or you can buy the whole year. And guys, in April, those of you that bought the yearly, where you buy it for the whole year, you will have one portal. Everything for the entire year will be in there, including your bonuses. You will have one password to remember. So yearly folks, you will just use the same password all year long. Ooh, citrine. Nice, Lois. Citrine, stone of prosperity. Also a stone they say that never needs to be cleansed. But honestly, I'm a big fan of cleansing all my stones, especially if it's working as hard as citrine does. You know, very cool. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go so you can get a little bit of time before you guys come back to see Karen. I hope you liked the workshop. If you did, please comment, give us a like, give us a follow if you're new. It helps small businesses like ours, especially during these crazy economic times that we live in. So I am super grateful for you. And a lot of you guys I consider friends. So thank you very much for joining us today. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump off. Blessed be, blessed we, and blessed Ostara. Yeah, blessed Ostara. Energy. Right on, Lois. Yes. Citrine has a lot of energy. Good deal. I like it. All right, friends. Blessed Ostara, blessed Spring Equinox, blessed be, blessed we. And we will see you soon. Bye for now.